It was a roller coaster 2023 for Tesla, from the price cuts to the launch of its much anticipated Cybertruck, but the stock still gained over 100%. A new report from the Wall Street Journal points to concerns for the company, executives from Tesla and SpaceX claiming uneasiness over Elon Musk's illegal drug use. With the EV giant gearing up to report fourth quarter earnings in the coming weeks, what are the biggest risks for investors? We've got the man, the myth, the legend himself, Craig Irwin, ROTH MKM Senior Research Analyst. Great to see you here in person, Craig.
What an intro.
We had to give you the intro.
Yeah,
of course, all the bells and whistles, Craig. Look, at the end of the day, when you think about this most recent overhang, of course, there have been larger questions about Musk's conduct, both inside of and outside of the company. What does this latest kind of drudge of news really put in the throes for Tesla shareholders?
Let's be brutally honest here, right? Drugs are bad. Right, yes. And I'm well known for not being a fanboy, right? I'm not a fan of Elon Musk himself. I'm a huge fan of his success in EVs, right? I think this has been known to people in government for many years. I first had a conversation with someone in a relevant entity about this more than 5 years ago. And I think that there are several other people that could have been highlighted in that article. So it smells like a hit piece, right? Why now is the bigger question. You know, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me, given that Tesla's really executing. They're doing a phenomenal job at SpaceX. You know, and we can talk about real risks that don't have anything to do with Elon's recreational chemistry.
But is there, though, a sort of overhang just in terms of some of that uncertainty, given the fact whether or not investors, shareholders should be looking past these recent headlines, but in terms of what that could then mean for leadership of the company down the line? How do you evaluate that as an analyst?
I think Elon Musk is the key man at Tesla. He's the key man at Tesla. You can put him in one of his rockets and send him to Mars. He's still the key man at Tesla, right? So he is a colorful, creative character. He is known as being a difficult, charismatic man. And, you know, I think if he leaves Tesla, we have a big problem, right? He's the one that basically has been the creative drive behind this company. And, you know, I give him full credit for the success of the EV industry today. I think that Musk deserves tremendous credit for the success of the industry. And the industry is inevitable now. And that would not have happened without Musk.
What are your biggest risks? By the way, you won euphemism of the day with recreational chemistry. But at the end of the day here, we got to think about what are the biggest risks to Tesla that you're kind of looking through and trying to evaluate here in 2024?
It's demand, right? Demand and obviously competition, right? So the Lightning most visibly cut its forecast in half. You know, sell side consensus numbers for about 22% growth. You know, 20% unit growth, right? 20% revenue growth still seems a little aggressive, right? We're going to have continued price cuts. You know, ever since, you know, even in the first quarter, everybody was saying that the second quarter would be the bottom. Well, no, it wasn't. You know, this last quarter was not the bottom. You know, I don't think that fourth quarter margins are likely to be particularly strong. I think they are quite likely to be weak, even though we did see a 5% beat on units. So we probably see continued margin weakness throughout this year as they put through price cuts. They deal with issues in China. You know, having BYD larger than them in China is a huge deal. You know, that's their most important, most profitable market. You know, they have fundamental structural challenges that they need to deal with, and it brings us back to, you know, what are the strategic bungles over the last couple of years?
And going off of that, what you just said about BYD and the fact that they did overtake Tesla, what do you think that signals, more broadly speaking, if we take a step back, not just about Tesla, but really about China's involvement and maybe leadership here going forward within the EV space?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very important question. They should have launched the mini car. They were supposed to have launched that, or at least made the decision to launch that in 19, and they punted. You know, ostensibly because it would have been gross margin dilutive. Well, look at margins now, right? And then, you know, India, they hemmed and hawed, from what I understand, about entering that market. So Times of India has confirmed there's a 500,000 unit facility that's going to get built. You know, Musk has got to start making more noise about that. You know, these are big structural challenges that if he wants to be the player with his 20 million units that he dreams about, you know, I don't endorse that number. But to start getting there, he's going to have to do a lot better job internationally and then as far as diversity of offering.
And so for all of the different kind of hats that Elon Musk wears over this time, you're talking about more kind of considered price cuts potentially, especially within China, to try and retain the consumer mindset in that region, which is shifting more nationalistic, if you will. And then additionally, you got to think about where within the productions that they've brought online, where do they scale that back, as some of the other U.S. automakers have had to do as well with their own operations to try and satisfy some of the more international ambitions that they do have in their EV targets that they've set forth?
So I don't see a lot of scaling back of manufacturing per se. Okay. I think, you know, the idea of maybe Shanghai going to 3 million units, we should consider that on hold. You know, Shanghai will probably look to optimize its utilization at that facility. I think we should really look at, you know, India. I think we should look at Mexico and potentially Canada. And how do they serve the North American customer more profitably? Yeah. Those, I think, are the most important questions.
All right, Craig Irwin, great to have you, especially here in studio with us today, Roth MKM Senior Research Analyst. Thanks, Craig.
Thank you.